Hello everyone and welcome back to Raging Levine's review of all the cards from Ikoria, Lair of Behemoths and Commander 2020. We're going to be talking about every card revealed in the context of social/casual Commander, about the 5 or 6 on the command zone scale. I'm not a big infinite combo person, if that helps you understand where I'm coming from with these cards. So let's get started with this lightning round of cards. And the best lightning rounds, of course, start with Lightning Rift, our one spoiler today from Commander 2020. It is a reprint, 1 and a red enchantment. Whenever a player cycles a card, you may pay 1. If you do, Lightning Rift deals 2 damage to any target. Great card in cycling decks. Glad to see this back. Alright, let's move into the new stuff. We have Extinction Event, 3 and a black for a sorcery. Choose odd or even. Exile each creature with converted mana cost of the chosen value. This could be an option for Gyruda decks to save their own creatures, but it's still very strange. It often won't really clear the board, so I don't think Extinction Event is really going to do what you want most of the time, but maybe sometimes you'll get lucky. Next up, Mythos of Brakos, 2 green for a sorcery. If blue and a black were spent to cast a spell, search your library for a card, put it into your graveyard, then shuffle them up. Return up to 2 permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. So kind of like an Elven Cache that doesn't exile itself, but it only gets permanents, so the looping possibilities are not really there. Alternatively, you can think of it as 4 mana for Demonic Tutor plus Regrowth, but again, you're only getting permanents, so you are a little more limited than you might otherwise be. You could, if you wanted, entomb a spell and grab 2 other permanents, or you can entomb a different permanent and grab 2 others from your graveyard. I think this card is decently powerful, and we will see it played quite a bit. You can obviously go get your Eternal Witness and something else. You can even tutor up the Eternal Witness, and then return Mythos of Brakos to your hand and just keep on going. Next up, we have Quartzwood Crasher, 2 red, for a 6/6 dinosaur beast with trample. And one or more creatures you control with trample deal combat damage to a player, create an XX green dinosaur beast token with trample, where X is the amount of damage those creatures dealt to that player. So this is very much reminiscent of Giant Adaphage, a trampler that makes more big tramplers. It's yet another card for the Stonebrow Trample Matters deck. If you want to slam some dinosaurs into your Stonebrow deck, look no further than Quartzwood Crasher. It's really strong, going to be a lot of fun in decks like that. Also great in decks that can populate. Copy that XX green dinosaur beast token as long as it is nice and big. Next up, we have Cub Warden, 3 and a white for a cat, 3/5 lifelink, mutate, 2 white. Whenever this creature mutates, create 2 1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink. Very similar to Leonin Warleader, the cats don't come in attacking, but they do come onto the battlefield. You should be mutating this onto something. It's 4 to cast or 4 to mutate. If you don't have 2 white, honestly, wait. If you can do something else, do something else. Just wait to mutate this later, because even mutating onto a token is fine, because you're getting 2 more tokens. Like, you shouldn't just be casting this in most circumstances. That being said, this card is fine, not incredible, but definitely going to get played in cat decks. Arabo is going to be having a field day with this one. Next up, we have Fight as 1. 1 white mana for an instant. Choose 1 or both. Ooh, I love to choose both. Target human creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains indestructible until end of turn. Or target non-human creature you control gets +1/+1 and indestructible until end of turn. I think this may be Feather's new best friend in Standard, in Brawl, maybe in Commander. I don't see this as powerful in Commander as it is in those other formats, but it's definitely a consideration. I like this in Feather in Standard with Feather and 10th District Legionnaire. Not quite as good in Commander, I don't think, but still playable as a trick to defend your Commander and another creature. Garrison Cat, 1/1 cat for a white. When it dies, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. I do like this card. It's really adorable. Power level-wise, it's a downgrade from Hunted Witness or Doomed Traveler, but if you need another 1/1 that sacrifices into another 1/1, Garrison Cat is your cat, and gosh, is it adorable. What a nice little friend, just hugging up to that soldier there, making a new friend. Or maybe an old friend. I don't know what Garrison Cat does. It does whatever it wants. It's a cat. Next up, we have Helica Glider, 2 and a white for a 2/2 Nightmare Squirrel. Enters the battlefield with your choice of a flying counter or a first strike counter. So big win in the flavor department, big win in the art department. Love looking at this card. It's really fun, really entertaining. Absolutely not very good in Commander. Very much a piece of limited fodder, not a Helica card that I would be interested in playing in my deck. But helical songs are for helical gliders. You get the idea. I'm just going to make a bunch of nonsense jokes. We're going to move on real quick to Majestic Oricorn. 4 and a white for a 4/4 unicorn. Mutate 3 and a white. Vigilance, and whenever this creature mutates, you gain 4 life. I'm not super excited about the life gain. 4 life is kind of like a big whatever most of the time, and you're not going to mutate onto things enough necessarily to gain enough life to make this matter, probably. It is the magic number for Angelic Accord, so do keep that in mind if you're a big Angelic Accord lover like I am. It's a fun card. I like it. You may have to play this if you're mutate focused enough, just because you want to mutate onto other mutate cards and just escalate the value there. Next up, we have Patagia Tiger. 4 and a white for a 3/4 cat. It's got flying, and when it enters the battlefield, target human you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Now, I was really confused when I saw this card spoiled because I thought Patagia was a Ravnica thing because of Patagia Viper. Then I went on the internet and Googled Patagia. Turns out it's not a made-up magic place in Ravnica. It's actually a reference to the membrane in the wings. It's something about that membrane. I'm not a flying cat biologist, but that was what it seemed to say in the e-internet dictionary. So this card made me smarter. Unfortunately, it's not very good. Let's move on to Splendor Mare, another card in the Counter Cycler's Cycler. If that wasn't confusing enough, let me read you the card. I'll unconfuse you. 2 and a white for a 3/3 Elk Unicorn with lifelink. Good rate in limited. Cycling 1 and a white. When you cycle it, put a lifelink counter on target creature you control. So, could be worth consideration in heavy counters decks. Probably not. Spontaneous Flight, 2 and a white. Instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Put a flying counter on it. This card's really cute. Don't play it in Commander, probably. Heartless Act, 1 and a black. Instant. Choose 1. Destroy target creature with no counters on it, or remove up to 3 counters from target creature. Now, this is a solid card. Disturbing art. Don't like it, but it is a great rate for a removal spell. It will be a removal spell a lot more often than it is going to use the other mode, but it's almost a removal spell with no restriction. Most creatures don't have counters on them in Commander, so Heartless Act can get nearly anything, and once in a while, you'll get value out of that second mode, because once in a while, you won't be able to use it to kill the creature you want to. Blitz of the Thunder Raptor, 1 and a red for an instant. Deals damage equal to the number of instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard to target creature or planeswalker. And if that thing would die this turn, exile it instead. So it doesn't hit the face. It's another removal spell instead for Spellslinger decks. Exiling the thing is nice that you're hitting. Instant speed is even nicer. A little bit of a leg up on Beacon Bolt here because of that. Now, of course, it doesn't recur in the same way, but it is nice to have a cheap removal spell that'll just blast something. Now, that being said, I'm going to look for a Braid first as I'm flipping through my collection for removal spells, because the flexibility on that card is underrated, and I can blow up a utility creature in the early game, which Blitz of the Thunder Raptor cannot always do if you don't have cards in your graveyard. Next up, we have Tentative Connection, 3 and a red, sorcery, costs 3 less to cast if you control a creature with menace, gain control of target creature until end of turn, untap that creature, it gains haste until end of turn. So this card's name kind of describes the internet connection I had in college. It was pretty tentative, it went in and out, but more importantly, this is a bad threaten with cute art. Next up, Weaponize the Monsters. Red, enchantment, pay 2, sacrifice a creature, Weaponize the Monsters, deals 2 damage to any target. So you can turn little crappy creatures into little mediocre shocks. Not to say that little shocks that are repeatable are mediocre. This is no Goblin Bombardment, I guess is kind of my point. But really what is? This is more comparable to Makeshift Munitions. You're required to use more mana, and you're only allowed to sacrifice creatures instead of artifacts as well, but you're getting better damage per object thrown. I like using this kind of effect when I take my opponent's creatures, so adding another effect like Goblin Bombardment, like Makeshift Munitions to the deck, a little redundancy in a deck like that does not hurt. Next up, we have Hornbash Mentor. 2 and a green for a 3/3 human warrior. When it enters the battlefield, put a trample counter on target non-human creature you control, and then 2 and a green, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control with trample. I think I'm going to try this out in a Stonebrow deck. I think a lot of people are going to build Stonebrow decks, but I'm going to be there first. Darn it. I got you. I'm going to get out in front. I'm going to try Hornbash Mentor. We'll see if it's good. It has to wait a turn to do its thing, but once it does, it makes your tramplers bigger, and bigger is always better when it comes to trampling creatures. Next up, we have Parcel Beast. 2, a green and a blue for a 2/4 elemental beast. Mutate green-blue. Pay 1 and tap it to look at your top card. If it's a land, you can put it on the battlefield. If it's not, or you don't put it onto the battlefield, put it into your hand. Now, you're not drawing it, and you're not scrying one first like Thrasios, but I still think this card is the one that I wanted. Yeah, it's the Parcel Beast. I think this card is sweet. You can mutate this onto a utility creature that doesn't want to swing, and you've got even more utility. Maybe it's a Flux Channeler that's doing its job turn after turn. Maybe it's a Coiling Oracle that's already done its job, and you want to upgrade it. Make the Parcel Beast for a little bit cheaper. I like this. I like this card a lot. I think it's going to be a lot of fun in your average Simic deck. Next up, we have Alert Heedbonder. 1 and then 2 green-white hybrid mana for a 2/4 human scout with Vigilance. At the beginning of your end step, you gain 1 life for each creature you control with Vigilance. Now, if you know me, if you've known me my whole life, which you probably haven't, but if you have, you know that I love a good card using a telescope, right? Border Patrol, one of my best friend cards. That being said, this card's not very good. I probably won't play it other than in like some sort of Border Patrol themed deck. Lurrus of the Dream Den. 1 and 2 white-black hybrid mana for a 3/2 legendary creature, Cat Nightmare. This is, look at all those eyes. This is a definite Cat Nightmare. Companion. Each permanent card in your starting deck has converted mana cost 2 or less. Lifelink. During each of your turns, you may cast 1 permanent spell with converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard. I like this card. It looks like a standard staple. Obviously, I think this card's probably going to be obnoxious in standard. Much harder to make work in Commander. But even if it's just your actual Commander, and you're not abiding by the restriction quite so strictly, it's still going to be very powerful, letting you bring back permanents from your graveyard. You still get to cast big spells, so don't forget that. As far as Commander options, if you are using this as your companion, your options are Aelia Eternal Pilgrim and Karlov of the Ghost Council. Of those, I'm a little split. I favor Aelia. This does have lifelink, which is nice. I think this might be a good Commander, too. This is going to be fun to build around in Commander. Probably more fun in Commander than it is in Standard, where I think it will be frustrating, most likely. Next and last, and definitely not least, is the Ozolith. 1 mana for a legendary artifact. Whenever a creature you control leaves the battlefield, if it had counters on it, put those counters on the Ozolith. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if the Ozolith has counters on it, you may move all counters from the Ozolith onto target creature. And I'm saying this card's name the way that I'm saying it because I believe it really demands the respect that I'm trying to give it by saying its name in a goofy, silly way. The card seems great. Something like Azuri Claw of Progress just can't wait to have the Ozolith in the 99. Maybe you can move those counters on over to your Master Biomancer for extra value. There are tons of ways to use for fun and profit across multiple decks and color combinations. The Ozolith is going to be all over the place. I can't wait to see them all. I can't even begin to tell you all the ideas I have for the Ozolith. It's going to go in like 30 decks I make over the first week. It's going to be fantastic. All right, that is it. I'm going to take the Ozolith. No, you know what? I'm going to leave the Ozolith on the screen while I play myself out. Ozolith, you deserve it. You're over here. Hi, Ozolith. Yes, I can absolutely see you. Yes, I know. Yes, absolutely, Ozolith. Thank you. Thanks very much for stopping by. I'm going to be back very soon with more Commander reviews for Ikoria and Commander 2020. See you next time. Please hit all the good buttons. I like it when you do that.